Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. This is your Manchester United trip to Chelsea preview and we're feeling upbeat. I actually do feel in a really good mood, which many of you will know is a rarity sometimes with us Manchester United fans. But I do feel really positive, and maybe it's because we did the morning show where we just got everything off our chests in relation to the Ronaldo situation, but also mainly because I feel that we do really need to focus on the positives of the game yesterday. I thought it was against Spurs. There's so many positives to take from that. And Chelsea's going to be a really exciting game. I'm a huge fan of Graham Potter. I'm a huge fan of Erik ten Hag. And I think these are two managers going up against each other that really excites me. I mean, it's not Pep versus Klopp, but it's sort of the next layer down. Ten Hag against Potter. Can these two managers become future rivals? Let's hope so, because they'd both be on the right track there, wouldn't they? And I do like Potter. So lots to get into. Really excited about it. It's going to be a very difficult game at Stamford Bridge. Traditionally, we struggle there. I believe Potter, in his first 4 Premier League games, has won 3 and drawn 1. I think they've only conceded 1 goal. He's averaging around 60% possession. So it won't be easy. It won't be easy. And unlike Spurs, I don't think we're up against a team that grinds results out. I think Potter is behind Ten Hag in many ways, but ahead in others. I think he's got more money available, more of a football-focused structure behind him to back him. And I think he's arguably got a slightly better squad, but obviously he's come into the job later than Ten Hag and hasn't had a pre-season. So it sort of equals it out, and we've had the better results in midweek. So lots to get into. I suppose the two big things I want to say is that a few people talking about Liz Truss. So the Prime Minister of the UK has resigned. I mean, she's hardly been in post very long. Genuinely, farts under my quilt. At night when maybe you've been out for a takeaway or something like that, and you have a trump in your bed while you're watching TV. You lift up the smell and it smells a bit, and then half an hour ago it's still there. I've had trumps last longer under my duvet than Liz Truss. But anyway, on from that. Let's get into the show. So I think there's two big things to say about this. First one, I'm going to mention Ronaldo. I don't want to talk about Ronaldo. The show this morning, we absolutely analysed all the levels, why it happened, what happens next, etc. Ronaldo has been pictured going to training today, which is a step forward. I think that's a good step forward. To not go to training is strike, which means we don't want to see stuff like last night. We don't want to see him on strike. So Ronaldo's gone to training, but what I absolutely am 100% convinced of here, whatever my personal feelings towards Ronaldo, and for me, he will always be a legend of this football club. He cannot play on Saturday. I would go as far as to say, and I don't know what people think, should he be in the matchday squad? We'll do a little bit of a poll on that, actually. Should Ronaldo be in the squad? Not start. I'm saying, should he even travel? Because for me, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think there has to be... I think there's a real hypocrisy if I hear people saying nobody's bigger than the club, but let's name him in the squad. Well, that makes him bigger than the club. If we can't go to Stamford Bridge without Ronaldo because we're short up front, you've automatically made him bigger than the club. There has to be a punishment for that. It can't just be... I think Ten Hag's reputation's on the line here, and he's not in control of it. The club have got to back him on this. I think we're in for a very interesting 48 hours, because Ten Hag, if I'm Ten Hag, if you're Ten Hag, when a player walks out on you like that publicly, you have to punish them. Even if you might be punishing yourself and your teammates. All right, if Martial's not fit, which is unlikely, and Rashford plays badly, you've got no striker on the bench, you need Ronaldo. But I think you have to punish him. He cannot travel to that game. There has to be a punishment. Otherwise, the club isn't bigger than a player. So, look, I'm a fan of Ronaldo. I'm not a fan of what he did last night, but 100% he should not be part of that squad on Saturday night. And it'll be very interesting if he is, because I think it comes across as weak from the club if he is. And I can't believe for 1 second that Erik ten Hag would want to make him travel. I've seen clips of Ten Hag at Ajax. I've seen how he's reacted to players who don't do what he wants on the pitch. I don't for 1 minute think that Ten Hag will want to take Ronaldo on Saturday, and I don't think he should. But it'll be very interesting to see if he does. I wouldn't take him. There has to be a punishment. Whether the apology came in today or not, there has to be a punishment. There has to be a public punishment. And for me, that is, you're not part of the squad for the game on Saturday. Whether that happens or not, maybe that's controversial. I don't know. To be fair, it's quite split on the vote. 42% say he should be in the squad, 58% say he shouldn't. So it's close. But I wouldn't take him as part of the squad. And it's got nothing to do with whether Ronaldo's right or wrong or whether Ten Hag's right or wrong. It's to do with the fact that I just did a video with Alex Goldberg, who's a Chelsea fan, and we were talking about it. And I basically said, there's levels. Mark, it worked. You're the GOAT, says Ike. Thank you very much, mate. Glad it worked. I know what you mean. I think that good to have you back. It's there's not many players that could do what Ronaldo did. Like maybe Mbappe, Messi, Neymar. There's only so many players that can get up and walk off. And it's a huge, huge thing. And there has to be repercussions from it. But Man United, knowing Man United, they'll probably try and sweep it under the carpet and say, get Erik Ten Hag to say it's not that big. You know, nobody's come at it from that angle, is what I'm trying to say. Is nobody's looked at the angle of what if United tell Ten Hag he's just got to get on with it and keep picking Ronaldo because it's in his contract. That massively undermines the manager. So we just have to wait and see. But for me, I don't think he should be part of the squad. I don't mind him being part of our future, but he can't be part of the squad on Saturday because there has to be repercussions. So we'll see. The second thing that really is important is that you don't change the team against Chelsea. I cannot, whether Martial's fit, whether Eriksen's fit, whether Maguire's fit, or whoever, Donny van de Beek, doesn't matter. You cannot change the team from Wednesday night when they have just put on the best performance we've seen from Manchester United, certainly this season, arguably last season and the season before that. It was such a domineering performance against a team that's in the top four and was in the top four last year. And I know Spurs have been a bit shit this season, but we dominated them. We bullied them. We outfought them. We outran them. We outplayed them. It was a really good performance from Manchester United. And if we could replicate that against Chelsea on Saturday night, I think Chelsea would be in for a very difficult game. You can't change that team. And again, it'll be very interesting to see what happens, and it'll be all eyes on Ten Hag again, because when we bought Casemiro and we were winning, he was like, I'm not changing McTominay for Casemiro because we're winning. So is he going to afford the same to Fred over Eriksen? And there ended the lesson, because he was wrong not to bring Casemiro in for McTominay. So would he be wrong to stick with Fred over Eriksen? And this is where football's so fluid and changeable, because I always said take McTominay out of a winning team for Casemiro. But on this one, I'm saying I don't think you can take Fred out of a winning team for Eriksen, but Ten Hag might do it. So it's going to be very intriguing. But I think that Fred was so pivotal to the high press. To take him out, we maybe lose what we had against Spurs. Mark, Ronaldo clearly had not respect for the coach and his teammates. What Ronaldo did outweighed whatever reason he has for doing what he did. Well, that's just a statement from you, Taffer. It doesn't mean anything other than it's your comments. Thank you. Donny update, says Rishab. I don't think there is an update on Donny. I think he might be back in training, but I'm not too sure. A few people saying there's an update on Donny. Let me have a look. Have we got an update on Donny? It'd be nice update on Donny right in the middle of this stream. Let me just see if is there anywhere in particular I need to look for an update on Donny. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo arrives. I can't see an update on Donny. No, I'm not seeing anything. I know he's meant to be back in training, but I don't know whether we've got an actual update. Pathetic reply to that super chat, says Robert. No, I don't really care, Robert. It's my opinion, and I'm never going to change. So don't watch the channel. It's not disrespectful. He made a statement about basically there's no justification for what Ronaldo did yesterday, but of course there's justification if somebody believes there is. It's my opinion's no better than that opinion than your opinion. I don't know where people get off with statements of fact that aren't facts. Like I've been arguing with people about this all morning, telling me that under no circumstances is it acceptable for what Ronaldo did. And I said, I do agree with you that it's unacceptable, but you can't walk in other people's shoes. Just because you think something's not right doesn't mean it's not right. Like, everybody has different ideas on what things happen. Sometimes you've just got to accept that people have different ideas to you. Ultimately, if it was unacceptable, Ronaldo wouldn't have done it. He's done it. He's decided to do it. We need to move on from it. But what I'm saying is, it's been done. I want to see us move on from that. and focus on the positives of this Chelsea game, because ultimately I came into this video feeling quite positive and people are trying to drag us back to the morning show, which I'm not going to do. Anyway, let's talk about the game. So yeah, I think that Fred is fundamental to the win against Spurs, and therefore I wouldn't change a winning team. But it's a difficult one because Eriksen is so good and he's so important to Ten Hag, and he is fit for the game on Saturday. So I think this is a really big, exciting point to make. Erik Ten Hag loves Eriksen. He's probably one of the players, like Martinez and maybe a couple of others, that he will not drop or keep out of the team if they are fit. And yet he has this dilemma against Chelsea, one of the toughest games we've played this season because it's away. Arguably, this is the toughest game we've had this season. I know Arsenal, Liverpool and Spurs are difficult, but they're all at Old Trafford. This is our most difficult game, I think, of the season so far. Are you going to keep Eriksen out of the team when he's fully fit and ready to play? And I don't know whether he will. I don't know. I'm just saying, well, let's do another poll. Would you, who do you pick? So who do you pick? This is up to you now. I would go with Fred because I wouldn't change a winning team. But then what if Fred puts in a Newcastle performance and we lose and we go, we should have picked Eriksen? And this is why Erik Ten Hag's the manager. And this is why Erik Ten Hag deserves the big bucks, because he will make that decision. And I'm like, I'd probably stick with the winning team and I'd stick with Fred. But then I think, are we going to press the life out of Chelsea at Stamford Bridge? Probably not. We're probably going to play a little bit more reserved, in which case it might suit Eriksen better, where we need to be better on the ball. Massive decision. I don't have the answer. I would stick with the same team. But if he goes with Eriksen, I'm not going to moan, because I understand why he might do that as well. So big decision there. I think for a lot of us, on first glance, you go, oh, it's very obvious, you stick with the winning team. But I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet on it. Eriksen is so important to Ten Hag. And he might just feel that it's a different type of game. It's not at Old Trafford. It's not against the defensive side. It's at Stamford Bridge, and it's against the side that wants to play football. So he may well go for Eriksen. You're right, that's just my statement, says Tapper, but I've watched you for years. If this was another player, your reaction wouldn't be this. Ronaldo disrespected the manager. What justifies that? Tapper, you're not going to... Look, right, fine. Thank you very much for your super chat. Well done. I've asked once. I'll say it again. Stop taking us back to the Ronaldo chat. It happened this morning. I'm in a good mood. I'm talking about United playing well, and I'm talking about the Chelsea game. And you don't live in my head, so you don't know how I think. So stop telling me how you think I think. I've had people say to me, if this was a different player, you'd react in a different way. What different way would I react? I've read the comments on the video this morning. I've read what people have said. At what point have I stuck up for Ronaldo and said it was good? You are absolutely talking out of your arse. I'm sorry, I have never said what Ronaldo did last night was acceptable. Never. In fact, I've said completely the opposite at least 10 times. I've said it was unacceptable. What do you want me to do? Rip my top off and start screaming and shouting? No, I'm not going to do that. And if you talk to me about a different player doing this, do you even understand the game? Scott McTominay, Fred, Maguire, or any other player that I apparently don't like, which isn't true anyway, are never in a million years going to get up and walk off. They don't have the CV or the power to do it. There are probably only 5 players in the Premier League that can get up and walk off if they want to and make a statement. You've got to be a GOAT of the game to do it. So how can you compare that situation? You're telling me that if Harry Maguire stood up and went, I've not been brought on, I'm walking down the tunnel. You've got to have the CV to do it. It's 100% unacceptable, but you can't compare it to anybody else. Cristiano Ronaldo has a CV. He's a club legend. He's won titles, Ballon d'Ors and Champions Leagues in a Man United shirt. He's completely unacceptable what he did, but you can't compare it to fucking Fred or McTominay or anybody else like that, because they would never do it. They don't have the power in the game to do it. So I don't know what we're talking about here. We keep getting dragged in, ruining my mood, ruining the show, because you want everybody to sing off the same weird hymn sheet that you're on about. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never said it was acceptable. And it is starting to piss me off because I haven't said it. I've consistently said it's unacceptable. So what are you talking about? You're just talking arse. We have to go as strong as we can. Eriksen is better than Fred, so in this case can change a winning team, go strong and continue to build. And that's from the Roz. People attract to drama instead of positive. Last night, the way we play, I will focus on that, says Jay. And we haven't won a game by 4 goals this season, and we expect top 4. We need goals while winning. Ronaldo has to play, says Unruly. Gakpo watched tonight against Arsenal, Mark. Nope. Joshua, I'm not. I'm doing an 8 o'clock. I said it about Ronaldo. I said it about Rashford. Rashford, I thought, was average last night. If he'd scored the goals, I think he would have got 8s like Casemiro and a few other players. I was watching the highlights this morning, and Rashford's striking technique is terrible at the moment. And he's much better than this. And Thierry Henry spoke about it last night. Thierry Henry. You look at the shots. He does really good work in the second half to get past his player and shoot at Lloris. The chance in the first half, he shoots at Lloris. His aim is off. It's almost like he's overconfident. He's not confident. He's doing what strikers do. He's shooting at the goalkeeper's legs, hoping that the goalkeeper's legs will move, which is one of the things they tell you as a striker. He needs to start aiming for the bottom corner, because he could have had 2 or 3 really good goals yesterday. Really, really good goals. And I think Rashford could have had 7 goals in the last 3 games. So, look, I think Rashford's on the... Rashford could be a Golden Boot contender. He's getting that many chances. He's a chance magnet at the moment. He just needs to sort his feet out. Imagine being the best employer at your place of work and a new boss comes in and says you're going to work part-time now. I'm getting an apprentice to take your place full-time. What would you do? Says Sean Turner. Okay, so look, I would stick with the same team as Spurs. Let's talk about Chelsea for a bit. Graham Potter, new manager. I believe Chelsea are in and around the top 4 like us at the moment. So it's a very, very much a 6-pointer. It's at their place, so they're slight favourites. As I said at the start of the video, Potter, we know about Potter. I think Potter's a man. It's a rarity to see a rival with a manager that you like and respect. And I think we've spoken about Potter so much on this channel over the years. And it's easier to champion Potter when he's at Brighton, saying what a fantastic manager he is, what a fantastic job he is, how he gets those players to play like that, and he hasn't got the squad that everybody else has got. Now he's at Chelsea. Do we just go, he's shit? Well, we don't, do we? Because we like to believe that when we champion somebody who's a bit of an underdog because they're a good manager or a good player, that they stay that. And, I still think Potter's a really good manager. I think it's going to be really interesting what he does at Chelsea. And I'm very excited to see Chelsea go up against Ten Hag on Saturday, because I think these 2 managers are 2 of the most exciting managers in the league. I think we've got a bit of an advantage. Thank you, Arjun. You say calm down, Arjun, but you know what? It does piss me off, because obviously I've been very... look, Ronaldo's one of my favourite players. That's not going to change because he stormed off down the bench. You're talking about 20 years of following a player. He's one of my favourite players. I'm not going to turn my back on him. But it's unfair to say that I'm sticking up for somebody when I'm not. I haven't said it. Not once have I said I'm sticking up for Ronaldo and what he's done. Not once. Not once. I've said it's unacceptable, unacceptable, unacceptable. How do you interpret that as I'm sticking up for him? What I have said, and I'll argue this with anybody, you can get me on Sky, Talk Sport, or down the pub. I'll argue it with anybody. This was always going to happen, and it was totally preventable, and I blame the Glazers. Which is suddenly weird, because I'm now being told you can't blame the Glazers. And I'm like, oh my God, some people are so locked in on this topic that they want to stick up for the Glazers now. But do what you want. I know what I think, and I know what I've said. And I want to talk about the Chelsea game, and I want to talk about Graham Potter, because I think it's going to be so interesting. And I do feel that it's like that. It could be 4-0 to Chelsea on Saturday. It could be 2-0 to United. I can't predict this. And I think it's very dangerous, even though I am going to predict it. Because finally felt like we're watching Ten Hag ball, says David. Exactly. Well timed with that. I think that the way we played on Wednesday against Spurs was so good. I feel we're ahead of Chelsea. Chelsea against Villa last Sunday, we're very lucky to win 2-0. Kepa had a fantastic game. One free kick, I think, should have been saved. The other one happened because of Mings. That could easily have been 0-0. It was 0-0 against Brentford. I think Chelsea's problem all season has been scoring goals. I don't think they're scoring enough goals. I don't think they're creating enough chances. And this has been a problem with Chelsea for probably 18 months. They don't have enough goal scorers in that team. And I don't think they're capable of beating us by 3 or 4 goals. I think our defence is very good at the moment, and I think we're creating chances. I fancy us against Chelsea. I really do. And I'm not disrespecting Chelsea, but I think that Potter hasn't really figured out what his best team is at the moment. And I think they're going through transition. And I think Chelsea and Potter, and I've said this a couple of weeks ago, I think over the next 18 months, even the next 6 to 18 months, are going to be a really exciting project to be part of if you're a Chelsea fan. They're going to spend in January and they're going to spend in the summer, and they're going to give Potter the time to build a team. And I believe he will. I think he's good enough to. But they're not there yet. They're not there yet. And I think they're still vulnerable. And I think we can exploit their vulnerabilities. I think you can get at them. I think they've got a good midfield. I think Kovacic is massively underrated. I think Mason Mount looks better under Potter. But I think there are vulnerabilities in that midfield. Jorginho, I think you can always get at. Conor Gallagher might play Loftus-Cheek. Defensively, they're good, but I think you can get at them as well. And I don't think they've got that amazing cutting edge. They've got good players, Aubameyang's decent, Sterling's decent, but I just don't see it. I don't see Chelsea having chance after chance after chance. We might cancel each other out. It could be a draw, but I'm going to go with the 2-0 win to United, actually. I think we will take momentum into the game, confidence into the game, and we've got no reason to go there and not be confident. And I think we've got every reason to go there and feel that Chelsea are still a work in progress, and therefore there is a vulnerability to them. And we are a work in progress ourselves, but I feel that we're probably a little bit ahead. Ten Hag had a pre-season. Ten Hag has had a few ups and downs already. And I feel that we will go into that game in a better state of mind with more confidence. And I think Chelsea are probably maybe a month, 6 weeks behind us because Potter came in behind Ten Hag. So I think we've got a real opportunity on Saturday. And you know what? If we do win on Saturday, remember what we were talking about before the Newcastle game? Newcastle at home, Spurs at home, Chelsea away. I said 7 points has to be what we get. We'll beat Chelsea on Saturday, and we've done it a different way round. I think when we drew to Newcastle, we were probably a little bit concerned going into the Spurs and Chelsea games, but it wouldn't surprise me if we beat Spurs and Chelsea, and we're halfway there. So I'm going to go with a win for Manchester United. I think that defence is so solid at the moment. Casemiro shielding that back five. Everybody in that back five looked really confident and organised last night, and now you've got it's almost like Ten Hag's done this on purpose, isn't it? It's almost like he's part of the plan. Sort your defence out, then sort your midfield out, then sort your attack out. And that's basically what's happened over the last few weeks. After that Brentford result, he pinned it down on the defence, and we built 4 wins in a row off the defence. Casemiro's now come into the team, and that midfield over the last few weeks has looked really good as well with Casemiro in it. So the defence has stayed stable, the midfield has improved. And I know it's only recent, but last night the attack looked really good as well. Now, obviously that might be a one-off, but if that attack continues, you built your team. We're not ready to win the league yet. You still need to buy players and move a few players on. But defence, midfield, attack, the 3 phase of the build of Ten Hag would be complete if we can keep it consistent. So I think the defence has been good for weeks. I think the midfield has got better with Casemiro. And hopefully that one game, and it was one game. I mean, I thought Anthony was fantastic. Bruno was fantastic. Fred made a big difference. Hopefully that's going to be the journey. And I don't think Chelsea are there yet. So yeah, I'd go 2-0 United. I think I'm relatively confident. Could be a draw. I don't think. I mean, look, we don't have a great record at Stamford Bridge. I'm not going to rule out that we get beat, but I'm pretty confident. Do you think we should just release Ronaldo? Says Jake. I mean, yeah. I mean, if they want to do that, I don't think they will do that. We should have just done it in the summer. I feel massively sorry for Erik Ten Hag. He wanted a replacement for Ronaldo, and he was happy for him to go. And United made a financial decision. And now it's October and he hasn't even got Ronaldo, has he? Really? Hi, Mark. I think we should keep the same lineup only if we play the same tactics. Eriksen can't press like that. And that's going to be the big thing, Sean. Are we going to go to Stamford Bridge and press the life of them at them high up with a high line? There's not many teams that will go to Stamford Bridge and do that. Man City, Liverpool in their prime. If we're going to play a little bit more withdrawn, it might mean Eriksen comes in. And I would put that out there as a red flag. If the team sheet comes out at 4:30 on Saturday and Fred's on the bench and Eriksen's in the team, don't start moaning because it'll be a tactical thing. That'll be Ten Hag going, right, we're not going to press them high up the pitch like we do at home. we're going to have to be a little bit more controlled, in which case Eriksen's really important, because when we get the ball, we want to keep the ball. And obviously Fred's possession stats are not as good as Eriksen. So if Fred starts, it means we're going to go for it. And if he doesn't start, it means we're going to be a little bit more controlled, which we might need to be at Stamford Bridge. Why don't you make a poll if Ronaldo should start the game, says Gurav? Because I genuinely don't think anybody really thinks he should. Eriksen, who do you pick, Fred or Eriksen? 64% still go with Eriksen. So interesting with that one. Just on the headlines for Chelsea, 4 Premier League games for Potter, won 3, lost 1, conceded 1, averaging around 60% possession. So style of play is really important. We can say that Chelsea and Spurs are difficult games, but they're very different games. Spurs, as we saw, whether they're home or away, very much built on defence and counter-attack. We dominated that yesterday. Chelsea, very much a work in progress, but very much a team built on possession. I think they had 67% possession against Brentford, which is what we had, and we still lost 4-0. But yeah, they want the ball. Potter's style of football is possession, confidence on the ball. But where it's being played is going to be the fundamental difference here. If we were playing Chelsea at Old Trafford at 5:30 on Saturday, I think you'd see a very similar approach to Spurs, where we try and get high up the pitch and stop them passing out. At Stamford Bridge, away, vast majority of the noise and support is home. It might be suicidal to try and play a high line and press them high up the pitch. It might be. It'll be interesting to see how Ten Hag approaches it. But I think the pivotal decision will be Fred or Eriksen. If he goes with Fred, he's brave, he's going for it. If he goes with Eriksen, I think he's respecting the fact that we're away and probably playing a little bit more sensible. But I don't know whether we can go to... I don't know whether... It's not even Chelsea. Do you think we can go to any away ground and play like we did yesterday? Because that is completely fed by the crowd as well. You know, the crowd was fantastic last night. We created a lot of chances. That was a completely home strategy. The press was very good. It was very high. It was very intense. The crowd feeds off that. Can you go to an away ground and do that? Because you're not going to have a crowd that you can feed off. Interesting. Man City do it. Liverpool do it. Are we ready to do that? That'll be a very, very big thing if we do. We need Eriksen to play, as the midfield would be more compact against Chelsea than Tottenham, who compact their defence, says Daniel. In my opinion, as a Portuguese person, I find it really disrespectful, and I don't get it why Man United didn't let him leave. I feel like Ronaldo did the right thing, says Lil. And Potter hasn't lost the game. No, he hasn't. Obviously, I've mentioned 4 Premier League games. I think he's played 3 Champions League games as well and not lost in those. So we are playing Chelsea, who have hardly conceded any goals, possession-based side, and Potter's not lost the game yet. So it's a huge... I can't wait for it. I cannot wait for it. This is the one... This is the hardest game out of Newcastle, Spurs, and Chelsea. Chelsea's the hardest game because it's the away game. I think Chelsea are better than Spurs and Newcastle. And, the style of football that Potter plays, it's a purist style of football like Ten Hag. So I'm really excited about this game. I started the video buzzing, and I still am. I'm really excited about it. And, we played so well last night. And consistency is the key, though. And I would say to anybody, try and predict what's going to happen on Saturday. You can't. You can guess, but you can't predict. And we've got to get to the point where we can. Man City fans know what Man City are going to do week in, week out. Liverpool fans know what Liverpool are going to try and do week in, week out. We don't know yet, because consistency is such a major problem for Manchester United. And look, Fred symbolises it. Dreadful against Newcastle, fantastic against Spurs. What performance will we get out of Chelsea? And I think also as well, what's really worth bearing in mind is that we're very locked in on these next 3 games, and we've only got one of them left. But the World Cup is coming very, very quickly. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, because since Manchester City, we've beat Everton away, drew with Newcastle at home, and beat Spurs. So 7 points from 9 since the Man City loss in the Premier League. Chelsea, if that's a positive result, We've then got West Ham at home in the league. I mean, look, obviously we've got Sheriff and Real Sociedad to play in the Champions League, in the Europa League. But Premier League-wise, before the break for the World Cup, we've got West Ham at home. You'd fancy us playing like we did against Spurs. You'd fancy us to win that now. You would. You would be very confident of winning that. Then we've got Villa away. And then we've got Fulham away. So, really, with all due respect, 9 points should be what we're aiming for in our final 3 Premier League games before the World Cup break. And then we come back and play Forest, Wolves and Bournemouth. So I know the World Cup straddles that like a big, massive horse. But the next 6 Premier League games, you'd be looking to get a lot of wins. So this Chelsea game, if I'm Ten Hag, I'm saying, look, whatever we're looking to achieve this season, I've heard people talking about the title. I've heard people talking about top 4. But whatever we're trying to achieve this season, you go to Chelsea and get a positive result. We've got a really good run of fixtures in the Premier League to go and accumulate a lot of points. And then in mid-January, we play Man City and Arsenal. So, yeah, this is our time. This is a pivotal point of the season where get a positive result against Chelsea, and then you got West Ham at home, Villa away, Fulham away, and then a good run after the World Cup. So it's a really positive time. And, you know, January always feels a long way away, doesn't it? Because it's only the middle of October. But because of that World Cup, January's only 4 or 5 Premier League games away, really. You come back from the World Cup and January's basically here. So the chance to invest and get another striker in and let Ronaldo go, it's only around the corner. Ten Hag's going to sit Potter down like a little boy, says Sean. And this is the second time we're playing Potter this half of the season. Shouldn't we be ready to play against his style since we just played against him, says Hamad. Good point, actually, Hamad. I'd never thought of it like that. I mean, how do you compare playing against Brighton on the opening game of the season with Potter and then Chelsea away on Saturday? Very different manager with very different... Well, the same manager with very different players. In some ways, I think Brighton might be more dangerous than Chelsea because he knows that Brighton team better. But then that Chelsea team has got better players in it. There's no doubt it's going to be a very difficult game on Saturday. But my feeling is, it's always dangerous to say this, but my feeling is of excitement and utter confidence that we're going to go there and get a result. And I don't disrespect Chelsea, and I definitely don't disrespect Potter. I think he's great. But I think we're going to go there and win. And yes, they've got the home advantage. And yes, Stamford Bridge is a difficult place for us to go. But I feel that we've got the momentum and the consistency and the rhythm that Chelsea don't have at the moment. And I really think we can go there and get something. So I'm looking forward to it. I am. Off topic, Mark, but I noticed we play Arsenal and City in January. Knowing how the Glazers work, I think the reaction to those will decide any signings, says Glenn. Well, the reaction to that should be to get the player in early in January, but we know that won't happen. So... And I'm going to just say this as well. Travis said it. This defence is a force. I know everybody was very excited about how we attacked yesterday, but the consistent theme in United is the defence. It started after the Brentford game, and it's been the consistent thing for weeks. I know it, and you know it if you've played or managed or watched football. If you know you've got a really strong defence, you feel liberated to attack. If you know your defence is weak, you're always thinking about, if we lose the ball, we're in the shit. That defence is breeding confidence through that team. It's like an infection of positivity. It's so solid. I mean, De Gea's distribution at the moment, I'm not saying it's going to stay like that, but it's so improved. Varane and Martinez are rock solid. Dalot and Shaw are getting better by the game as well. Casemiro in front of it. We're not easy to score against. And somebody said this to me last night. You know, if we'd played Spurs last night and it was Lindelof and Maguire at the back, with all due respect, they're not Martinez and Lindelof, and Martinez and Varane, and you'd worry about them. And I said, well, of course you would, because Maguire's going to struggle against Son for pace, and Lindelof's going to struggle against Kane physically. So they're not going to be able to dominate them the way that Varane did for pace against Son and Martinez did for physicality against Kane. This is the improvement. It's nothing against Maguire and Lindelof. I think they are going to be really important players for us, and they're going to have to play at some point. But that defence is now solid. Last season it wasn't. and it makes a massive difference when it just breeds confidence. That attack knows that defence is probably going to keep a clean sheet, and it allows them to, to play with more freedom. So the defence has been so good recently. And Calvin says, Haaland says, hold my beer, but Man City are the best side in the world. Could be the best team in the world. Man City are the champions. Varane got injured at 1-0, and United were dreadful that day. So we deservedly got smacked up. But apart from the Man City game, every game around that, we're hardly conceding, and we've been very solid. So it doesn't take it away. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. I'm on Twitch at 3 o'clock. I've been off for a couple of days, so I'm excited to get the old controller out, get some Goldbridge ball up and running. Thanks everyone for watching. Make sure you smash a like on the video. If you want to become a member, by the way, get your little badge next to your name, support the channel like I Kill Cupid. Then you can do that by clicking the join button. We've got exclusive content for you as well. Thanks for your support. Make sure you subscribe. Esso says, we've improved our style of play since our game with Brighton. I'd be happy to get a draw. Esso, a draw wouldn't be terrible when you look at the fixtures we've got coming up, but a win would be a real positive. Why are your thoughts on Erik ten Hag being so convinced Rashford brings dynamic and better counter-pressing over Ronaldo? What's the point of Ronaldo anymore, says ABC. I think Rashford's not better than Ronaldo. I think everybody knows that. And I think Rashford's best position is in Sancho's position. But I think what Ten Hag has decided to do is just try and build for the future. Have you seen Varane and Martinez stats together, playing unreal together, says Captain. Mate, there was a time when people used to throw the stats up of our record with Maguire was really good, and without him it was really bad. I don't think there are any stats that you can pull up now. I think Varane and Martinez's stats are absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, we need to move forward, says Chris. Yeah. Anyway, really enjoyed the show when we were talking about the game and the excitement of it. And I'm back at 8 o'clock tonight. You can join me on Twitch at 3 o'clock. Take care, everyone. Don't know why I'm doing a James Bond thing. Take care, everyone. Speak to you all in a bit, and stay safe.